everybody. I am Alex Rude. I'm going to be your host today for April Variety Hour. Some great speakers lined up today, including speed talks from Julia Wiel, Jeremy Vuillermet, and Tom Denton, followed by an ad break and quiz from Adrian. And then lastly, wrapping things up, are going to be a long talk from Niki Amini-Naieni. I think I got that right. So to kick things off, we are going to hand it over to Julia, who's going to be sharing more about some new pathways for standardization of bioacoustics data. So Julia, whenever you're ready to share your screen, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So hello, everyone. I'm Julia Wiel, and I'm a PhD student at the Norwegian Institute for Nature Research. And I will just give a little teaser, I guess, of this project, which aims to produce a standard for bioacoustic data. And we will have a webinar of 1 hour in June. I will talk about it at the end of this. So you can join and we will discuss details at this webinar. To give a little bit of background, here at NINA, we try to apply passive acoustic monitoring to all taxa we can, basically to monitor nature. And we are currently having a big European project where we deployed a network of microphones in Spain, France, Netherlands, and Norway. And our goal is to track the bird migration, so to develop an AI model that is working well for European species, and then integrate this bioacoustic data into their monitoring schemes by producing essential biodiversity variable for the people who are familiar with this. So basically, this project is to promote the use of bioacoustic for monitoring nature at a great scale. And for this project, we have to collaborate, of course, with different institutes and across countries. So it's very important for us, as for other projects, I'm sure, to have a good protocol to collect and analyze the acoustic data, as well as have a data management plan that is like robust. And I've been personally working a lot on the standardization of all the metadata we can collect together with the acoustic data. And so we've been looking for a standard for our project and like in-house at NINA to be able to handle acoustic data. And that's how we started this Safe and Sound project by teaming up with the Open Science Lab for Biodiversity in Belgium. So you can hear the team here. And we applied for the borrowing fund that we got last year. So we had like 6 months. We are finishing in May to explore could we use the camera trap data package standard for bioacoustic? Because you can imagine that camera trap data are quite comparable to acoustic data, like the media file with some deployment metadata. So we were wondering, could we just apply this standard to bioacoustic data to have quite quickly a standard available for the bioacoustic community? And to do so, we first looked at how people are using bioacoustic data. We investigated the existing standards, for example, the software you are using, how the data are presented, and some databases such as Xenocanto or WABAD. And of course, we collected feedback from the community. We are still doing this right now. So spoiler alert, it's a very good fit, this CamTrap DP standard for bioacoustic data. So I'm going to show you how it looks like for camera trap data, and you can just try to imagine how it would look for your acoustic data. So the data are organized in 3 tables. The first one is the deployment table, where you have information about what device you deployed where and for what duration. Then you have in the media table, basically the list of all your audio files with their configuration, frequency rate, bit depth, these kind of things. And in the third table, observations table, it corresponds to, for example, your annotations, or if you are using some AI model, for example, BirdNet, then it's like the output table from your model with, this is a blue teeth that is heard in this media file, etc. And these 3 tables are linked with deployment ID, media ID, and observation ID. So at the end, you can know what observation is in what media file and belong to what deployment. So here is for camera, but it works the same for audio data. So basically, this standard can be used at two levels. Let's say if you are looking for a system within your institute to organize your data and tag correctly your data with all the metadata, it's a very good standard and format to use to structure your own database. And also, when you are collaborating with other institutes, it's a format that is easy to exchange, basically. And one of the major advantages that this CamTrap DP is already included in the IPT, so the tool that GBIF has, if you are familiar with publishing datasets. So if you want to publish dataset to say to the world, here I have this data, you can fetch them. Then the data can be directly converted to Darwin Core. So I will stop here. It was just like a little teaser. But if you want to hear more about this data standard, you are very welcome to join the discussion at our webinar that will be on the 5th of June, also hosted by WILDLABS. So I will publish soon an event on WILDLABS.NET. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much for that presentation. We are always so excited to have any of our award winners come on and speak, especially Boring Fund winners. And I think this was a great, like you said, sort of teaser for the meeting that you guys are going to be having in June. And we're don't have too much time for questions, so I'm gonna drop my question for you in the chat, but I encourage you to ask any questions for Julia because she actually has to hop off a little bit early. So definitely get your questions in before she has to go. And I encourage everybody to come to that event in June to learn more about this standardization of bioacoustics data. Next up for our next speed talk, we have Jeremy Vuillermet, who's going to be talking to us about how to best visualize and gain insights from spatio-temporal data sets like camera traps and audio recordings. So Jeremy, whenever you're ready to share your screen, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and thank you, Julia, for introducing CamTrap DP, because that's also what I'm using, and I didn't have time to introduce it, so that's really on point. So I will show a bit of BioWatch, which is a desktop app that we just kind of released in beta, which is made to explore camera trap datasets. We focus on camera trap to start with, but as Julia noticed, it also works for other kind of data like bioacoustics. And I'm glad to see that CamTrap DP can adapt because it will make our life easier, for example. So next slide. Yeah, I recently teamed up with a former colleague, Arthur Caillot, who is in the chat, and created Earth Tools Maker, who create open source technology to address conservation and environmental challenges. So it will have a link in the chat, but definitely check it out. Because the projects are really interesting, and I joined because I wanted to help and participate. So the demo will be quick, and I will start from scratch because one of the points of this application is that it's really easy to install, and you don't have to know anything about development or command line. It's just a normal app. So on GitHub here, I can get the installer file. It works on Windows or Linux, has been mostly tested on Mac for now. And once it's downloaded, I can just start and install it like a normal Mac app. And when it's installed, I can run it, and hopefully it works. And yeah, as you can see, it's quite fast, and no need for other tools. And we started with a desktop app because the few projects we had around camera traps, they were hard constraint on not being able, for legal reason, not being able to upload data to third party. So it had to work locally, and thus the desktop app. So if I want to start from scratch and get an idea how it works, you can use the demo dataset, which will be using JBIF data. So again, thanks for, I saw some people in the chat, Dan Morris or Sana, who help us discover CamTrap DP and get those datasets. So here it's a dataset from Luxembourg, as you can see. So we get some metadata as well as the contributors and a list of species for this particular data set. And here the map with all the deployment. If we go to the activity tab, here it's more dedicated to comparing and seeing like the activity for every species. So on the right, I have a selector. So for example, if I run the deer and the European badger, I can select those. And this will update the map and the charts in real time. And I can dig in and see how they are spread. At the bottom, it's more about the time. So we have the entire study time range. And right now we are focused on this area. But if I move that because I want to study, I don't know, the winter or something else, this will update the data quite quickly because everything is local. And here we can see, for example, during this period, there was no observation, so the map is empty. And if we go back here, we can also see on the left that the daily activity is changing. So it's like a 24-hour clock where the deer in green mostly active at dawn and dusk, while the European badger in yellow, using these colors, is mostly active between the beginning of the night. And then we have the media tab, which focus on the picture themselves. Those are hosted on Agouti, I think. And again, using the same pattern, I can select a specific species, let's say the fox, for example, and let's say I want mostly daily images. So I can select this time range, the bottom left, maybe it's a bit small, and I will start to see only images during the day where it might be clearer. So everything is local. You don't have to upload anything. So it's some advantages that it's faster, and you can change also the time range similar to before. And the last tab is about the deployment. So you can see all your deployment when they were active. The bigger the dots, the more observation. So meaning that you can also spot some gap, maybe where the camera stopped working. And if I click on this one, it will scroll and I can see the active period for this one. And similarly, if I want to know this one, in some data set, there are more descriptive name, not on this one, but this also highlight the one on the, so you know where it is. And finally, I want to demo maybe how to import data sets. So I have one ready that I downloaded from JBIF because I had the entire list, which was really useful of data set that support camera trap. So I just drag and drop, and this will be imported in like a few seconds maximum, and I get the same kind of data. This one is a bit more specific because the data, the images are local on the computer, so it's even faster to really dig through the images, and we can imagine doing other filters to maybe find really the perfect images in some cases, or really only find the images during the winter if that's interesting. So yeah, you get the idea. And so to finish, I have one more slide for the conclusion, how can you help? So we need beta testers. So if you have a data set and you want to try, contact me and we'll try together. We might need some biologists and scientists to help us decide what to show and have the relevant data and visualization, because I'm not a biologist, I'm a front-end developer. So that might not be, everything might not be really correct or useful for scientists. Other data sets, other any ideas or other format to support, and money. This is our free time volunteering, but maybe if people really are interested so we can keep working on that, that could help. And thank you for the wildlife groups. We had a lot of help there, where we also learned about CamTrap DP, which is exactly what we needed. Dan Maurice, Sana, Jakub, that gave us a lot of direction, because I mentioned I'm not a biologist. So we were able to discover a lot about this field quickly, thanks to those people and WildLabs. So thank you.
Thank you so much. That is, I love different, like all these different data visualization tools, and that is so cool. And I think I get excited about thinking about how you mentioned possibly integrating like bioacoustics data in the future, like how all that multi sort of sensory data could be incorporated. We don't have too much time for questions, so I'm going to direct people to the chat to ask any questions and for you to answer them. I know I have some that I'm going to be dropping in. And now we are going to move on to our last speed talk of the day, which is from Tom Denton. And he's going to be telling us, oh, he's already got his slide pulled up. He is ready. He's going to be telling us about BirdCLEF 2025, which is a competition to apply machine learning expertise to identify understudied species based on their acoustic signatures in Latin America. Whenever you're ready, Tom.
Yeah, so my name's Tom, as mentioned. I've been a co-host for BirdCLEF for going on 5 years at this point. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what BirdCLEF is and what's up with the current competition. So as the slide says here, BirdCLEF is really focused on domain transfer in bioacoustics. So we have this pretty common setup where you've got a lot of, say, recordings from Xeno-Canto, where somebody's often pointing an actual microphone at a particular bird and getting a relatively clear recording. And then we've got a lot of passive acoustic monitoring data that's from a microphone just attached to the side of a tree. And we would love to be able to build models that are able to learn well from these focal recordings and then tell us what's in the passive recording data sets. So that's kind of our setup every year. And every year we work with a different group somewhere in the world to produce a new fully annotated data set where experts have gone through and tried to put a label in a box on every vocalization of usually a bird in some number of hours of data. So usually these data sets are between 10 and 20 hours or thereabouts. This has actually been a really great thing for bioacoustics as a field overall in the long run, because now we've got actually a number of these fully annotated data sets that have accumulated, and we've released all of them on Zenodo. Some folks put it together into sort of a unified benchmark called BirdSet last year, which is a great thing to look at if you're interested in building really good global bioacoustic models. But yeah, so those have been accumulating. This year, we're working with the El Silencio Reserve in Colombia, and it's our first year with non-bird taxa. So it includes a number of frogs, a couple mammals, and even we managed to get some insects. This was actually a really big effort behind the scenes. It probably doesn't look a whole lot different in terms of participation in the competition. But, it involved hey, it's not just the bird folks that need to look over each recording. It also has to be the mammal folks and the frog folks and the insect folks. So all of those experts coming together to get this complete, fully annotated data set. So there's a bunch of work, but we're really excited about it because it's pretty well the first of its kind. A couple other bits. Oh yeah, one thing that I think also makes our competition kind of unique. So this year and last year, in addition to those focal recordings for training, we also include a bunch of unlabeled data from the same sites, from the same area, but without any labels. So you get some of this adaptation as kind of the core problem, but you're not allowed to see any actual labels from the area that you're trying to do your prediction in. So, and this is a really common thing. It's easy to put out microphones, end up with thousands of hours of unlabeled audio, and then ask how well can we adapt a model that's trained on things that we do have labels for to this particular area. So yeah, we're lucky enough to be able to offer $50,000 in total cash prizes. It's not just Google Cloud credits. You can have cold hard cash in your pocket if you come in and beat the competition. And we actually set aside a part of that every year for best working note. So we're attached to the CLEF conference. And so if you do a short write-up on whatever it is that you tried, you can submit that for the conference. It's pretty easy to get accepted, I'm going to say. Just, talk about the competition and you're probably going to be okay. So it's a really nice place to just try out some scientific writing next to a competition if that's the thing you're interested in. And we give $2,500. If we split that over, I think the top 2 working notes, according to us. And I'll say that usually the best working note is not necessarily the highest placing competitor. So we really like to award folks that like try something interesting and give a good write-up of what they tried and how they investigated what might or might not work. Because we want to make sure that BirdCLEF is about exploration in addition to exploitation of good methods. So that's probably about that. I'll just show you the site quickly. So BirdCLEF, it looks like this. It's on this platform Kaggle. There's space for discussion where you can tell people that you're having trouble with our weird submission process, but there's lots of good examples for how to do that. And we'll help you get started. And just everything else that people's noticing. I think we've got about 1,300, we're up to almost 1,700 participants this year, which is a record for us. Yeah, so it's good stuff. If you want to try out a bioacoustic problem, we've got about a month left in the competition. So it's actually probably a good time to like try things out, see what's been tried in previous years, get an idea of how these sorts of things work. Probably still time to have a good idea, maybe even win. So yeah, hope to see you there.
Thank you so much. That is a great intro to the competition. And for anybody who is interested in learning more and also speak Spanish, our Latin America community leaders, Vanessa Reyes and Juan Sebastian Ulloa, hosted a call also about BirdCLEF competition with some Q&As. I think there was also a little bit of English mixed in there. But my question for you, Tom, is now that the competition is sort of a little bit more than halfway through, has there been anything like really surprising or exciting that you've seen sort of come through, or is it sort of everything is revealed at the end and you don't know anything about how it's been unfolding quite yet?
Yeah, so the scores have actually been pretty high. So that's kind of what we know so far. Like we're seeing, last year was kind of a little bit of a slaughterhouse. Like I think our top score at the end was like 0.7 ROC AUC, or maybe not even quite 0.7, which is crazy low. And this year, I think we're up at the 0.9 range. So it's things are going pretty well in terms of actually people being pretty successful on the Colombian data set, which is really cool to see. But yeah, mostly it's at the end, folks, all is revealed in terms of who actually did the best, because we only sort of give people scores on part of the data during the competition, and then we reveal the overall scores at the end. And then people tend to have like a long forum post or some of those like formal written notes for the conference at the end. And that's kind of where we learn everything. I go through every one of those and sort of like try to pull out, like, here's the themes, like, here's the things that, it turns out 8 of the 10 top entries we're actually doing on the back end that sort of maybe help them get up to that level. And yeah, in our previous years, you can actually go and read what people were trying then and adapt a lot of methods. So yeah,
Awesome.
good,
Well,
good area for trying stuff out and learning.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool competition and great opportunity. And I know I'm excited to see sort of that summary write-up of what the overall themes were and what people were working on and what went well. And then we can have you back to talk about, some summary of how the competition went. Thank you so much, Tom. We are going to move on to our ad break, which is being hosted this month by the lovely Adrian from the WILDLABS team. So I'm going to pass it over to him to take you through it. And he's muted. I don't know if he knows that.
Yeah,
Oh,
let
he
me
does.
unmute
Great.
myself and share the screen. Can you see my screen?
It is. Can you make it full screen by chance and
Yeah, of
the
course.
presenter
I'm
mode?
going to go to the presenter mode, right?
Beautiful.
So hi everyone. Nice to meet you, see you. I'm Adrian, project manager at WildLabs, and I will be leading this ad break. So today, the first topic was supposed to be done by Vanessa, but she could not make it. So I am in charge of exposing you this fantastic event that the Latin community leaders, Vanessa and Juan, are organizing about the application of drones for monitoring the wildlife. I think it means for turtles and deer in Portuguese. I'm Spanish speaker, not Portuguese speaker. I think it's Portuguese, otherwise I would be very ashamed of myself. This will happen on May 8th at 10 a.m. EDT, and the fantastic speaker this date will be Omar Torrico from WCS and Ismail Brack from the University of Florida. And this is the first thing we wanted to share with you. The second is coming from Talia Speaker, our executive manager.
Hi, everyone. Great to see you here today. Thanks, Adrian. We have shared this on our social channels, so some folks may have seen it already, but just a last shout out for this role that we're hiring on the Wild Labs team. It's a summer internship hosted at World Wildlife Fund in the US. So it has an option to be in person, but can also be remote as long as the person can work kind of East Coast hours. And we're really excited about this role. We've hired interns through this program that has kind of a DEI inclusivity focus. So really trying to get people who haven't had a lot of experience in the conservation space access to conservation careers. And this role will be focused on helping us do our 5-year trends report for the state of conservation technology research, which is super exciting that we now have 5 years of data and can really start to look at trends over time. So if you are interested in the role or you know folks who might be a good fit, please send them our way. Applications do close on Friday, so it's a very kind of last moment to apply situation. But we have a bunch of people who seem wonderful who have applied already. So yeah, just wanted to share the role with everyone. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Just back on the previous announcement, just flagging that I see that Juan is in this meeting. So if you have any question about this LATAM event, don't hesitate to reach out to him. So now we are going to the quiz. My first quiz. I'm excited. Alex, I have not even looked at the answer, so I can participate with the people. So please feel free to share your answer in the chat, and we will reward you with a lot of money at the end of the quiz. Maybe not what I'm supposed to say. So first question, what is the name of the state-of-art real-time object detection algorithm introduced in 2015 that has the same name as the Drake lyrics? That was a long question, Alex. Answer A, IDJAF. Maybe there is a word for that. Answer B, patient fruit. Answer C, YOLO. Answer D, one dance.
I'll be your quiz assistant today. We've got mostly C's coming in. 1D answer.
And see the chat.
Someone saying YOLO. C.
Okay.
A lot of C's.
And the YOLO would be my guess. And I think we have a lot of people capable of saying that.
Consensus.
So let's see. And the answer was indeed C, yellow. You only look once. Second question. Which is not the name of a popular object detection model? A, RCNN. B, SqueezeNet. C, MobileNet. D, SwitchNet. I'm not sure to add this one. I would maybe try B. Pretty confident with A, C.
Someone's guessing A, but
yeah.
Someone's guessing D, someone's guessing B, someone's guessing B. There's not a lot of consensus.
Yeah.
And not a lot of answers being submitted because I think people are unsure.
Yeah, people are adapting. People are not confident with this one. It's a tricky one. Oh, Kim has come with D. Kim is very good at this with this model. David, Henry, Eric. Let's see what the answer is. And the answer is D, indeed. SwitchNet is not an object detection model.
Not yet, at least.
Oh, not yet. Thank you for being careful on the way we answer sentence. Now everything is recorded. Third question, what is a segmentation mask? You have two possibilities here. A, it's an image layer that identifies and isolates non-target objects. B, a specific portion of an image that is isolated from the rest of an image. Let me reread the definition slowly in my French translation.
We got 2 people guessing B, 3 people guessing B, 4 people guessing B, someone guessing A, 2 people
And I
guessing
see in
A.
the chat that Alex, you are in big trouble because Dan is wanting to fight you now. So I think you should quit the meeting now to
Listen,
ensure
it's not a real variety hour unless somebody wants to somebody wants to fight me over a question in the quiz. So it's honestly
And
par
so
for the course.
it's shared between B and A for this one, and I'm not sure about the exact definition, but the answer is B. It's a specific portion of an image that is isolated from the rest of an image, and they are nice graphics. So you come from chairs to nothing on the fourth image. True or false? Image classification and object detection are the same. Ooh, okay. People are very aggressive on the false response. So I think we can confidently go to the fact that the answer is indeed false. The answer that is provided here, while image classification focuses on assigning a single label to an entire image, object detection models go a step beyond by recognizing and pinpointing the position of numerous objects within an image. In other words, object detection not only recategorizes the objects present, but also draws bounding boxes around them to indicate their exact location. That was a nice long definition to read. I will next time read the answer first so I can be prepared to read them once. Next question. Ooh, can you detect the object animal in this tundra photo? A, there will be a hare in this picture. B, a marmot. C, a fox. D, a pika. Okay, I'm playing now.
So I kind of messed up by not having the list of animals on this screen as well, because people are guessing C, and I don't really remember what C was. People are saying hare. People are saying hare.
The hare, marmot, fox, pika. I see. I do want to spoil, but I might be killed by the quiz organizer, so I don't want. But I know the answer.
No, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to spoil it. But
You
it seems like
also
most people
should
are
not
guessing hare.
be showing your mouse right now.
This is exactly there that you should look at the fantastic picture.
Adrian, you're banned.
You're the
from leaving
worst
the quiz
quiz
ever
master.
again.
There were many hair responses, and that's surprising.
I wonder why.
The answer is a hair. And oh, it's there. Cool. That's enough. I will not circle the object or the animal in the studio photo. That could be a fennec fox. Pretty sure it's not. Beetle, black star bird, or spiny lizard.
People are looking. No guesses yet.
Definitely looking. I found it. Just saying.
Don't tell anyone about it. We have a hesitant guess of beetle.
At least someone has
Someone's guessing lizard.
Oh, there is a lizard. Yeah, it's good guess with the habitat.
Talia is just congratulating everybody for
what
guessing.
are the options again? So you have 4 options. There is a fennec fox somewhere in the picture, a beetle maybe, a black star bird, or a spiny lizard. I think people, IGN has an advantage with a higher resolution. I definitely do have an advantage. That's true. I was saying no, but yeah, I look at the screen. That's better resolution. Sorry.
I think this one's stumping people.
Yeah, I think Lucy has found a bird, and I might tend to agree with that. Maybe I'm wrong, but as a birder, I would be happy to see a bird in front of a rock. Maybe not. Someone is
Sure.
suggesting to go on the
Oh.
social media page, so we will answer that there is a black starbird in the middle of the picture. It was right in front of you.
Right in front of you.
And that was it. Thank you everyone for playing. And sorry, Alex, for having missing your fantastic quiz. Wanted to play too. And I think this is the end of our ad break, right?
Thank you everybody for playing. I felt like that could be a nice little warm up for object detection before we head into our long talk. And it definitely gives me a greater appreciation because I am a human and I couldn't necessarily see all those animals. So right now I'm going to pass it over to Niki Amini-Naieni to talk to us about CountGD, which is an open source, publicly available model that automatically counts objects and images specified by text, visual examples, or both together. Whenever you're ready, you can take it away.
Hello, my name is Niki. I'm currently a DPhil or PhD student at the University of Oxford, working with Professor Andrew Zisserman and the Visual Geometry Group on AI, deep learning, and computer vision. And today I'm going to talk to you about counting any object in images automatically. So this problem has a lot of different applications. You can imagine you might want to count people in crowds to limit the spread of illnesses like COVID-19, or you might want to count cells in microscopic images to monitor the progression of different diseases, or, which is relevant to you, you might want to count animals in wildlife photography, or cars in a parking lot to see how many spaces are open. So given all these applications, you can see that if you have a model that can automatically do this for any image and any object, in a matter of seconds, it could be very, very useful. And so this is exactly the problem that we tried to address in our paper CountGD, Multimodal Open World Counting, which was published at NeurIPS 2024. And this is joint work with my co-author Teng Da and my advisor Andrew. So basically the idea is that CountGD is a model that, given an image or some kind of specification of the object to count, which can be in the form of a visual example or a text description or both, CountGD will automatically count the objects specified in the image. So given the visual example of a strawberry and the text strawberry, CountGD will count the strawberries and not the blueberries, and vice versa for the blueberries. And what makes it multimodal is that it accepts both visual examples and text to describe the object. And given these different prompts, it's able to adapt to new objects at inference time. So the same model can be used to count fish in images of a coral reef, or birds in aerial drone images, or anything really. That's the idea of the model that we proposed. And so people have been using this model quite frequently. So Analyd is a data annotation tool that has integrated our model into its workflow. And next, I'm going to show you a video that they created using CountGD. So you can see that they specified the object, which is a bison with text and a visual example. They hit OK, and it counts all of the objects. And this, I'm walking you through the video. So you can also specify the object with text only as well. So this is an image of birds, and it's able to count the birds. And this is one of apples, and it's going to count the apples as well. And so on. And the important thing here is that it's the same model that's doing this. So the same model is being used to count the birds and the apples, and here the neurons, and it's just able to generalize to these different scenarios, which is the beauty of it being open world. And yeah, so, and then here are the fish. So they go through some more examples, and I have a link to the video if you want to see that. But yeah. So this is the architecture. This is also, can you see my full screen, or are you seeing the images of people that I'm also seeing?
I think I just see the full screen of the similarity map and the grounding.
Okay, okay, good. Okay, yeah, because I can't see what you see. So anyway, so yeah, so this is our architecture. This is the deep learning model that we developed, CountGD. And it is based off of the Grounding Dino architecture. So Grounding Dino is an open world object detector, and it struggles to count objects in images. So it struggles to detect objects when there are lots and lots of them, or things are occluded. And also it doesn't accept visual examples. So to develop CountGD, we extended Grounding Dino to accept visual examples. using this exemplar extraction module here. And we fine-tuned it on counting data to get it to count high numbers of objects in densely packed scenes. We also mapped the detection problem to a counting problem here by enumerating all the detected instances and using that to estimate the count. This is the loss that we used up here for training the model. It is the same as the loss for grounding dyno, but a difference here is that we trained on counting data, so we only had object centers instead of bounding blocks, and that's what the C means here. And this is because for counting data, you have lots and lots of objects and images, and people usually don't want to draw a box around every object, so they will just provide a center point. And so that is what we use to train the model. And so this is the predicted object center, and this is the true object center. And the idea is we want these to match. And so we train the model to do this during training. And we train on lots and lots of images with lots and lots of objects and from different categories. And we use specifically the FSC 147 data set for open world object counting. And these are just some images from that data set to kind of give you an idea of what we trained on. And then at inference, our model is able to just count the different objects in the images. So these are some qualitative results. So given the input images in the top row and the visual examples boxed in yellow and the text, CountGD outputs all the objects that it identifies. And so you can see in these examples, the ground truth count is very close, is the same as the predicted count. But being a multimodal model, it can also accept just text alone. And so here are some examples of that. So in these situations, CountGD is just given the text car and it counts the cars. And same in these other examples. So here are some quantitative results. So CountGD is currently the first multimodal open world counting model, and it's also the most accurate one available today. So you can see that it achieves lower counting errors than the SOTA, which stands for state of the art, which is the most accurate model before CountGD and all these different data sets. And in these cases, lower error bar is better. And in each case, CountGD achieves a lower error than the state of the art. So relevance for the conservation tech community, you can apply CountGD to count animals and images, and you can do that at varying levels of complexity and numbers of objects. So here we have an image from a bird specialist, and he's counting birds, and he just gives CountGD the text birds, and it can accurately detect and count all the birds in the images. Here are some seals. You can see that the count is increasing as I go from left to right. These are some other animals here, and as you can see, it gets 248 and the ground truth is 251, so it's very close in this case. And for the final image, I actually couldn't count the number of penguins because there were so many, but you can see that the dots seem to line up, and it seems pretty good. Here is an example where there is a high number of objects, and we actually do have the ground truth count from a penguinologist. So Dr. Tom Hart is a bird specialist and biologist and lecturer, and he's been using CountGD to count birds, seabirds, in aerial images. And this is an example where he is counting birds with CountGD, and he actually counted them by hand, and he estimated about 574. And this is how much CountGD gets. So he just gave, so this is the app interface that I developed for CountGD, and he gave it the input image on the left and the text bird, and it outputs what's on the right, which is a final count and a point on each bird it finds. And so interestingly, we're working with Tom on counting the largest population of animals on Earth on Zawodowski Island, which is a remote uninhabited island with over 1 million penguins on it. And so we're currently working with Tom to do this with CountGD. And so this has not been done before, and it's challenging, but this is something that we're working on right now. And we're hoping that it could yield scientific insights that aren't possible to realize at smaller scales by doing this for biology. So we're also working with the Gloucester Marine Genomics Institute in Boston to count cells in microscopic images. Now I'm going to try to use the laser point. Okay, there we go. So this is a very challenging task. And they approached me, the researchers at the Marine Genomics Institute, and they wanted to do this. And then they showed me some of their images, and I was like, wow, this is very challenging. So these are different cells, but what makes it challenging is they're chained together. So this is very difficult to separate the different cells here. These ones are easier because they're alone. But yeah, so they basically want to enumerate all the cells in this image. Another challenge they want to do is they want to differentiate between different cells. So they want to count the white cells, the dead cells, and the red cells. And this is also challenging. So we're working with them to develop techniques to do that, to dramatically accelerate the pace at which they run experiments and they analyze their data. Because right now they do this by hand for lots and lots of images, and we're hoping to remove that manual labor. So there are lots of open source tools available to use CountGD. So I created an app. That's the first thing here. And that's what you're seeing here. This is the interface to try out the model on your own images. There's also an open source code. There's Analyd, which is the data annotation tool that I was showing the video for earlier. Landing AI is a company founded by Andrew Ng. They have a vision agent tool that also uses CountGD. And then there's also Saiwa has a training free object counting with prompts tool that has also been powered by CountGD. And we're continuously working with domain experts and others to develop more and more tools and interfaces to integrate CountGD into the workflows of different people in different research areas. So with this model, there are currently a couple of challenges. The first challenge is right now, the counting model struggles if there are two objects that are very similar, but have like one slight difference, for example, color. So if you're trying to differentiate between male and female seals, that is currently difficult. It will just count all the seals, and even though you can differentiate between them with color. So right now we're working on extending the model to handle these fine-grained categories. Another challenging example is adult versus baby penguins. So we are currently working on this. This is important for conservation specialists, it seems. Yeah, so, and then the other challenge is counting very high numbers of objects. So these are images from Tom from Zavodovsky Island. And the current way we're approaching this is by cropping the image and passing each crop to the model, since there is a limit on how many objects it can count per image. It's 900, and the way we've addressed this is by cropping the image and counting each crop one at a time, and then resolving the overlapping regions. And so we're working on that right now. And yeah, so thank you for letting me speak today. It has been an honor, and we would love to hear if you have any counting applications that we could potentially help with CountGD, or any other ideas for the challenges. I'm always open to collaboration and learning about new ways that our work can be useful to others. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that talk. That is so cool. Most of the comments in the chat that came through during your presentation were along the lines of, that's so cool, really impressive, that's fantastic. So that is awesome, and I agree. And one question I have, I think, coming off of the quiz, is how does the model work with, like, obviously, like the photos that we were looking at in the quiz of like camouflage species? How does the model work in instances like that? If you have any use cases or information on that.
So if it's like very difficult to detect, like the bird, I think I would say that would be really challenging. That probably couldn't do that. I would love for it to get that good, to be able to identify things that are just like really difficult to identify. One thing that you could try is using a visual example, but I think that is a good thing to work towards, though. I think right now that would be too challenging. If it's like a really tiny object, yeah, okay, maybe it could probably work, but yeah. So I'm not gonna say that it can do that yet.
I mean, it was hard enough as for us to do it as
Yeah.
people looking at it. So that makes sense. And we have some questions in the chat. One question from David Hunter is asking if it is possible to port the model to JavaScript and run it from the front end.
Oh, so right now for the app, what we have is because the model runs on a GPU, so it's running on a GPU, like not locally, like it's accessing it out there, and then it's running inference. So if there's a way to send requests to the model, that probably could be possible. I don't see any issue with doing that. I think that is possible. We have someone who's trying to integrate it with R for biologists. So they're trying to develop some kind of tool to request results from the model and then email the person when they're there, and then they get the results for a bunch of them. If you just want one image, it doesn't take that long. I think if my screen is being shared, let me actually see. How do I get out of here? I have a demo I can actually show, but
Just which like window you're sharing, if you're sharing a
can you
window.
can you see my screen? So this is the demo. So if you want to count something here, it doesn't take that long. So doing like one image doesn't take, and you can upload different images, but here are some preloaded examples. So right now you're just giving it the text bird, and it can count the birds. So that's pretty fast. You can also provide like a visual example. This might be, let's see if I can do this with the Zoom sharing. I haven't tried this before. So there's like a visual example, and you can also count with that as well. So, and you can just upload images to this. And we also, yeah, so having something that requests results from this, this might work.
We have a few more questions. One is from Kim, who asks how many parameters are in the model.
So I can tell you how much memory it takes. I don't know the exact number of parameters, but it's about 1.2 gigabytes for the weights. So I can give you that. And yeah, it's about the same as grounding dyno, so which is an object detector as well.
Seems
so.
like that answer made Kim happy. And he also
Okay,
asked, which is an interesting question, could it count the instances of my face in a crowd of faces? That's another question from Kim.
Oh, so like so that would be the fine grain. Like if you want to count like a specific person, it would struggle. And this is literally the thing that we're working on right now, is how to, because you can imagine like if you have a visual example of like your face, and then that should help. So we're trying to improve that. Yeah.
Exciting. Yeah, we have a lot of people who are interested in sharing the links to all these different resources and how they can try this out. And some more questions in the chat, which I don't know if we'll have time to get to, but I encourage everybody to stay after hours and talk and answer those questions, or direct you to the chat, Niki. But give me 1 second. I have to pull up my screen. Yeah, we're just at time. So I want to thank everybody for coming and joining April's Variety Hour, and especially to our speakers for their lovely and fascinating presentations. I'm going to end the recording in just a few minutes, but like I mentioned, everybody is invited to stick around for after hours to have a more sort of casual conversation about the talks or anything else basically under the sun. So thank you again so much for coming, and we will see everybody next month on May 28th.